5, featuring Denver, Colorado, and Danny, also known as best friend and ex-wife. So excited to have you as my first guest.
So excited to be here. Crying for hours.
I felt so strange at first.
And I had a vision. I was like in a dug grave that wasn't covered yet. Social isolation has the health impact of like X number of cigarettes a day.
Dopamine fasting.
There was no way out. Conscious connected breath work.
I just brewed some coffee.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Just cheers. It's kind of cute. Cheers.
So, Danny is known as ex-wife because Torin and her were married for, was it 6 or 7 years?
Something like that.
Yeah. And Torin and I's relationship began with me moving into Danny's apartment with him almost immediately. So that was a very interesting intro into the relationship, and it was, I felt so strange at first. I was so nervous, and Danny made it all so much easier. She was so laid back, awesome to live with. So what was it like for you to move in with Torin and I almost immediately after you guys split up?
I was excited to see what kind of person he was dating, like who he clicked with. I think by that point we had kind of done some closing in a sense, like we love each other as people.
Right.
So it was more excitement seeing who he was bringing home, basically.
Yeah. And I think it helped a little bit that you had a partner also. It wasn't like this weird, like, no one was nervous about there being jealousy, I don't think.
No.
Like, after I got to know the circumstances, like, okay, it's not going to be like that at all. Danny had a girlfriend at the time,
and you didn't know what you were walking into, because it could have been a crazy situation.
It could have been super weird and
like cutting your hair at night or
doing these like alpha girl things.
Yeah,
maybe,
totally.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I remember, I think it was the first day that we met. Shortly after introducing yourself, you walked up to Torin and like punched him in the arm and said something super bro-like. I was like, okay,
this
won't be too bad.
is all, we're all on the same page here.
Going in a good direction.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and you were so sweet immediately. Like, I got to just see what Torin liked about you and why you guys work together. I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. Yeah.
That's sweet. Yeah. So what do you feel like gave you such a healthy perspective of such a typically weird, awkward circumstance?
I feel like way before I met you and way before we even ended our marriage, I was working a lot on detachment in love, like how you don't own someone even if you are in love with them or if you love them. And so I developed a perspective of love is the purest force in the universe, and just because it changes forms between me and him in this example doesn't mean that I need to try to guard him from accessing a different type of love just because that wasn't our type. Right? Like, we had a friendship love, but he deserves to have love that's romantic and different as well.
Yeah, I feel like you guys were best friends as soon as we met. It didn't seem like there was too much of a transition. Like,
it happened long before.
Right.
I think maybe even before either of us could like acknowledge it.
Yeah.
You know, it had been transitioning for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Already become friends before you were officially labeled as just friends.
Yeah, exactly.
So with your recent breakup, what do you feel like has helped you in staying mentally well and getting through it? Are there any specific habits that you've tried to hold on to, or a way of looking at it that has helped you?
Yeah, the first thing is I allowed myself to be unwell for a little bit, because at first I was like, I need to grow past this and see the lesson, and I was almost trying to bypass the grief and the sadness, which just made it last longer. Yeah. So I allowed myself to bedrock for a little bit and cry, and I called you guys crying for hours. But yeah, after I felt that, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready to kind of redirect my energy. I don't want to just dwell here. So the biggest thing that helped me was realizing that in every situation there's an opportunity for growth. So I was like, okay, what is the lesson here that I can take from this hard situation? Because it's not just hard for no reason. Like, pain for pain's sake there's not really a point. So I wanted to find like a point in the pain. So I was looking for the lessons, and I was able to find ways that I wanted to show up better in my relationship, like patterns that I was bringing in that weren't cool with me, that I don't want to bring into a future relationship. And obviously it helped me find what I'm looking for in my next relationship, like what she was doing that I was like, okay, these are the things that I wouldn't want next time. But it was a very humbling opportunity to see that in every breakup there are two people contributing, even if one person's thing is like the big thing that takes the attention of like the bad,
obvious thing, maybe
the bad action, but there are always two people in the dance. So yeah, focusing on my part really helped me feel in control of the situation where otherwise I was very out of control of.
I feel like a lot of people, when you talk about a breakup, or even grief, like someone dying, kind of similar emotional thing that you go through. Some people say you just like feel everything, super dive into your emotions and maybe dwell on it a little too much. And then on the other side, there's people that suppress it and try to just be strong and move forward. But it's so important to do both. You have to let yourself feel and then just find the healthiest way to redirect and move forward and learn from it.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've had both in mind, even if it wasn't like perfectly done at first. Of course, it's really hard.
Yeah, I learned that grief comes in waves, and there are times to sit in it. There are times to be like, okay, that's enough. I'm getting out of my house. I'm going to take a shower. Like, it's hard to find that balance, but I feel like it's important.
Yeah, especially hard to pull yourself out when you're just like those crying moments. Where, like, I don't want to do anything.
Yeah,
I just want to be sad. It's like, but I don't really want to just be sad.
Totally.
Let's go do something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it seems like you weren't really raised in a family that maybe focused on health and fitness or mental health,
Not at
personal
all.
growth, or
No.
anything like that. So how did you get started and find interest in those kind of things?
I feel like my first entry point was through nutrition. I wanted to be like a nutritional coach for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I'll go there.
I feel like it happens when you start vegan and you're like, oh, everyone needs to know this. And then,
That's why.
yeah, you go through your own realizations and learnings. But I'm not vegan anymore. But yeah, I think that was my first entry point into taking control of my life and doing things different than what I was taught.
Yeah.
Because that was my first entry point.
Yeah, I feel like I was totally blind to that aspect of how we can change the way we think and look at the world, and no idea the landscape of mind that was available to us to work with and grow.
Yeah, I didn't even know food affected the way that you felt. Like that was not even, I've never heard anyone talk about that.
Yeah.
So my mind was especially blown when I started going in that direction.
Yeah, after getting really into health and fitness, it blew my mind how different I felt. I just felt like happier, like my hormones were more balanced, I was more energized, and I think the mental health aspect is more of a draw to me than like feeling strong or looking good.
Totally.
When initially, that's usually what gets everyone into it.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The mental health stuff I made a correlation with later. It wasn't my initial like entry because it was vain, you know. I
just
look
wanna
better.
look good.
Yeah,
Be strong.
but yeah, the mental health part is huge.
Yeah. I like the music. It's fairly docile. It's not so impeding like a lot of places. It feels like it's blasting over your
Yeah,
head.
they're not blaring it, which is nice. I'm enjoying the beat too.
Very energized.
Feels like a good brunch beat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, as many people already know, Torin's self-improvement journey and lifestyle change began with backpacking in the mountains, but obviously that was with you. So,
Yeah.
what did you take away from that, and then maybe just the nomadic life in general after that?
The first thing that comes to mind is that was the first time where there was no way out.
Yeah.
Like we sold our stuff, we didn't have a house anymore, we were just in the middle of the mountains. And we had no way out. So that feeling of just really having to accept what was ahead of us and just find a way to make the best of it, be the most present, get the most out of it, that was a huge lesson for me.
Just forced to deal with it.
Exactly.
There's no going back. There's
Yeah.
no house to go back to.
We burned the bridges.
Yeah.
So that was a big exercise of like mental strength for me, I would say.
I think leaving home to move to Denver with you guys was a huge jump for me, even though it was like such a minor thing. It's like you're just changing locations.
Well, it's huge because you left your family and
Exactly.
you hadn't been with Torin that long.
Yeah.
And you've never met me. So that's
Right. It was
a triple
scary.
whammy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was almost as scary as starting the walk, but even though you'd think walking and across the state would be terrifying, but it was a big step for me, letting go of the security
Yeah,
and familiarity of family and your hometown and everything.
absolutely.
So obviously there's a lot of pros and cons to living in a big city. What do you do to combat things that could be a strain on your mental health, like the grind culture or the noise of everything, just go, go, go all the time?
I have a specific, maybe more than some people, a specific aversion to grind culture. Like, I almost tend to be, like, too ungrindy. Like, I can be a little bit lazy sometimes. So the grind culture doesn't necessarily bother me too often. It is hard sometimes when you're trying to connect with other people.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people that are in that mentality. So, yeah, it's just hard to relate sometimes.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think I do in the city is I get out in nature, because we have a lot of pretty parks, and there's, of course, the mountains, which I can drive to. But I think just getting outside more, going on walks without music, without headphones, and just really finding my own little bits of quiet, or else I find that, yeah, there is an energy of the city, and I feel like sometimes I can get whipped up in what's the next thing that I need to be doing, and I can kind of skip the present moment a bit if I'm not careful.
Yeah. I feel like the noise and just the activity of it, even just walking through a city for a day, I feel like it's ramping up my thoughts. Like, I'm thinking faster and more, there's just less silence. I have to do a lot to regulate that.
Exactly, for sure. I feel like another thing too is I like to read a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like reading helps me to slow down, because I have to be really mindful as I'm reading and imagining stuff. It's not as easy to get stuck in a numbing loop of TV, which I can easily fall into, just episode after episode after episode. I'm like, wait, what have I been watching for the last 4 hours? Yeah, so I think just really incorporating quiet times and plenty of maybe lower dopamine activities helps balance, because sometimes I love high dopamine and there's plenty of it. But yeah, incorporating the lower dopamine activities, I think, helps me feel pretty solid.
So you did some courses with breathwork. What is it, the category of breathwork called? What is it good for? How do you do it?
Yeah, so the course that I did is in conscious connected breathwork, which takes you into an altered state of consciousness because of the way you're changing the levels of oxygen and CO2 in your body. So it gets you into this kind of dreamlike state, but you're not sleeping, like your mind is very active. So in that non-ordinary realm, some subconscious, maybe emotions or ideas very often come to the surface. So you're intentionally introducing a stress to your nervous system, because when you're breathing in and out through your mouth, it gives you more energy and like activation in your body. So you're like getting ready to do something, like
oxygenating.
Yeah, you're oxygenating your whole body. So you're purposefully introducing stress, and then the whole breathwork session takes about an hour, hour and a half. And then so you're consciously introducing the stress, but then you're also down-regulating the stress toward the end of the session by closing your mouth and breathing through your nose. So you're giving your body an experience of a complete stress cycle. And most of us we get stressed and then we calm down a little, stress, calm down, but we never get that full release and kind of like recovery. Yeah, so you like when you get stressed and you have a response and then you de-stress, and then there's the final step is the recovering of resources, like recovering your energy, recovering your like ability to think clearly. But a lot of people get stuck in the stress, calm down, stress, calm down.
Yeah.
So the breath work provides you with that complete cycle, which for many people is a new experience in their nervous system. So you're giving them a new reference point. Yeah.
I feel like in normal life we'd probably stress out and then just find a distraction and immediately drop off, but this kind of allows you to like feel all of your emotions fully.
Exactly. So it's not like stress and numb, but you're actually having to go through the whole thing. Yeah.
Our session was really interesting. I did not expect to feel so much from it. Me and Torin did an hour-long video session with Danny one time, and I felt like just tingly, weird numbness all through my legs and arms by the end of it. And I felt like I was working through some emotional stuff that was arising from nowhere that I hadn't even really been focused on, maybe.
That's the cool thing, is it taps into what's often operating subconsciously. Yeah, it's crazy. I've had some insane experiences from it too, and even myself and some other people have had visions which sounds interesting. Some people have had spiritual visions. I personally haven't, but
More like a dream-like vision, would you say? Like the way you're seeing it?
like for example, I had like some specific trauma come up when I was doing one of the sessions, but then I had a vision. I was in a dug grave that wasn't covered yet, but I had a vision of someone reaching in and like helping me out, and like the sun was behind them, and I was like, oh, this person's an ally for me, I can let them in. Like, it was a vision, but then I understood what it meant. But there were
I felt like it represented a real person.
Yeah.
Like they were
Well,
here
yeah,
to
it was
help,
it was my ex-girlfriend for
Yeah.
this video. Yeah. At the time. So yeah, it was very, very moving.
I'd love to try that again someday. It's so I almost group it together with meditation in my head, but it's so different. It does
It's
so
an
much
active
more.
meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to do it for you guys, especially now that I've had more time, more refinement. Yeah.
This has stayed just like warm enough to enjoy because
For real.
It's perfect.
I'm expecting it to start boiling any minute.
So, what do you think about what me and Torin are doing as the Walking America couple and the message that we're trying to share with people?
I think that, I think it symbolizes you two living in line with your values, which I like in any person that I have in my life. So I think it's a cool way to demonstrate your values. And it's really hard.
Yeah.
So,
like from backpacking.
Yeah, there's a lot of resilience involved that I think is really respectable.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest problems we face as a society regarding mental health and social relationships?
I'm going to borrow a term that I heard. So instead of AI for artificial intelligence, she called it artificial intimacy. And I feel like I was saying before, love and connection, I feel like are the backbone of being human, right? And I think that because of, social media, but also just the fast pace of the world and everyone feeling more divided and guarded with whatever's going on, I think that people are less connected, less willing to connect, less willing to be vulnerable. And your relationships determine your wellness in a lot of ways, because I don't remember the exact numbers of the study, but it was talking about how social isolation has the health impact of like X number of cigarettes a day. Like it's serious. And so we have such easy access to, in some ways, this artificial level of intimacy with being online and whatever. And so a lot of people, I think, they're craving something deeper and they feel so lonely. And they think like, oh, I should feel good because I have 10,000 followers. Like I should feel like, why am I still so sad? And I feel like loneliness and lack of deep connection is the number one thing that could make people feel more just excited to be alive, because we find our purpose in reflection of other people, right? Like I don't know what my personality is unless I'm around people and they reflect it back to me. Yeah. So that's what I think that's the biggest thing right now that people could benefit from, is just taking the step to connect a little deeper. Because I also feel like when you find purpose in something bigger than yourself, whether that's a higher power or in your community, but you need to feel, I believe as humans, we need to feel like we are contributing, like we're impacting the people around us. If not, why are we even here?
Yeah. It's sad that so many people are substituting the need for relationships with online relationships. You can't connect to the same degree, and even with the same conversation, you don't have the eye contact and the gesturing and developing that friendship. It's just completely different. It's sad to see it drift in that way. And a lot of the people that we meet that appear on the outside to be the happiest are people that focus on relationships. They're community people. They're trying to help people around them, or they're just very social and loving, and that's what brings them joy in life. I also struggle to find fulfillment if I'm not trying to contribute, whether it be like one-on-one or using social media to try and make the world a better place. It's so important to finding purpose in life and not just being like nearly depressed. Like I've always really struggled with finding that fulfillment, to not be kind of just dwelling on like, what is the point of existing?
Yeah, and I feel like it's easy to get so much existential dread when you're just like you're just by yourself isolating, and you're like, oh, I need to prove all these things about myself, and there's just this hamster wheel of like I'm not good enough. I need to keep. But then when
external goals.
Exactly. And then you get in a group of people that you really feel seen by, and you're like, is the sun shining brighter today? You get like a buzz of like, oh, this is what it feels like to really be seen by somebody.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's like, it feels like a high. It happened to me last week when I went to the park and met new friends. I was like, this is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the best moments. Those initial sparks with some of the best friends you make.
Yeah, exactly. I think I love the internet, first of all. Like, I don't hate technology. I love it. And I feel like it's really cool how people have been able to connect in areas where there's just no one like them, and they feel really unseen if they're like on the fringes of society. The internet has done a lot of cool things for that. And I think that when possible, take the inconvenience and go meet someone in person.
Yeah.
Because a lot can be felt through a screen. Like, I've experienced that. But yeah, there's something like being in person or someone laughs, like it's okay.
Yes.
You know, like just
the feeling of a hug.
Yeah, it's different, and it's not something you can substitute.
Yeah, we're very social creatures.
Yeah.
We need that.
Yeah, for sure.
And last but not least, what do you think brings contentment and happiness? Feel free to differentiate, whether it be your own direct experience or things that you think are good for people in general. We obviously touched on a few things, like social relationships being a huge part of that, but anything else?
Yeah, I guess I'll make a distinction. I feel like, to me, happiness feels like it's very dopamine fueled, and that's not a state that I feel like is possible or sustainable to exist in all the time. So I think the trouble that I got into was I was chasing this feeling of feeling happy. So yeah, you can never sustain it. And so I think happiness is really cool, but I feel like it's more of a result of contentment often, instead of something that I'm trying to achieve all the time. It happens naturally more often when I'm focusing on trying to be content.
Yeah, when you're not trying to get that dopamine rush and you're doing the healthy things, and you have more moments of happiness, even if it is still oscillating.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, contentment, this is something I've been working on, I would say. I feel more content now than maybe I ever have, but not content to where I'm complacent. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's almost a spiritual element to finding a place with something, whether it's a place or a relationship or a career or like any goal. There's a place where you say like, this is enough.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with this. Not letting it decline, but I'm okay with not trying to make this something else.
Yeah.
And for
what you have at that moment.
Yeah, and for me, I've noticed when I reach that place of like, okay, this is enough, then it naturally keeps improving. But I'm not trying to force the improving and the striving onto it, because I feel like that's where I can feel discontent. If I'm just trying to like maximize everything all the time, which I feel like is very capitalistic. So for me, the improvements come naturally when I'm like, this is really beautiful and I'm good with this.
Yeah, that's great. It's hard to find that balance.
It's so hard.
You get comfortable and a lot of the time just get complacent immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
You also don't want to feel like you're constantly striving, like you need something to be okay. Like just learn to be okay with that moment. I feel like so much of that comes from meditation and mindfulness in general. Because you can have the exact same circumstance and one person be miserable and one person be totally content with it.
Yeah, and I guess, that's the line, is like complacent to content. Like there's a line there, and I feel like it's an oscillation. It's a never-ending process to straddle the two.
I lied. Not the last question.
Okay,
but
that's all right.
I usually tie these two together. And what do you think we can do to try and make the world a more loving place?
I'll tell you what works for me. I have started, and this helped me through my breakup as well, I've started imagining people as little scared children. because, you know, everyone's little defensive little buttons that make it hard to kind of connect with them, that all comes from somewhere.
Right.
And so if I imagine them as like a scared little kid just trying to get love, and they're trying all these things that aren't really working, but they haven't learned a different strategy. So when I imagine them like that, I feel my heart is just like, aw, like it's really, I feel really sad that you think that that's how you should connect with someone, you know, or like I feel sad that you feel like you have to protect yourself in that way because someone hurt you. Like that sucks.
Yeah.
And it's not pity. I'm not like, oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
It's more like
understanding.
then I think of all the ways that I have my own patterns, and I was like, I've shut out love a lot too. So yeah, that really helps me.
And watch this video that was kind of like a guided meditation practice to work through someone like traumatizing you or hurting you, and it was with like a past relationship that kind of scarred me for like my younger adult years, and it goes through trying to empathize with, like, imagine their upbringing and their hardships and how that maybe created the headspace that they're in that caused them to hurt you, and just do your best to empathize with every step that got them there, because they weren't just born a terrible person.
No.
All created by our environment and people around us. And it also helps to think about how terribly flawed we all are. Like, I might really not like this thing that you're flawed about, but okay, it might be totally different, or maybe I don't see it as bad, but I have terrible flaws of my own, and we're also imperfect.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to add? Anything that's popped up that you thought you wanted to say earlier, or share with just our followers in general?
I would say something that I wish someone would have told me, like on the personal growth journey, is make sure that you're not trying to improve yourself from a place of not feeling good enough and like hating yourself. Like, I'll only be worthy of love if I accomplish X, because then every time you accomplish X, the goalpost will move, and then you will never feel good enough. So I would say do your best to grow from a place of love and wanting the best for yourself and those around you.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, the goalpost will always keep moving.
Yeah.
We'll never just be content one day.
Nope.
We always feel like there's like this one major goal we're looking at. And once I get there, I'll be happy.
Yep.
So I finally pay off that car, and I'll have financial freedom, then I'll be happy. Or whatever it is. It could be even more meaningful than that. Like, maybe I helped this community come out of poverty, like something really dramatically changing, but then I just have another goal. Just, in this cycle.
Yeah.
Have to learn to find contentment in any circumstance, but also not be complacent and keep working to be better.
Yep.
And helping the people around you.
Never-ending process. But it's rewarding.
So really,
Well, this has been a great conversation, and I love the place we picked.
Yeah, this is incredible. I'm gonna come back here.
Fire restaurant from there? Yeah. Something like that. Shout out to them for letting us do this over here and being sweet and just letting us drink coffee and take our time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for joining for another Girl Talk. Love you guys.
Really quick, did you ever see Furbies? Do you know what those are?
Oh, yeah.
It's a Furby.
That's so cute. It's almost like Mario vibes.
I was about to say Mario. That's exactly it. And they do kind of bounce in their little carts when they're driving. I think it's cool. Sorry, can I cuss in this? Or I can say it again without cussing.
Yeah, maybe just start over.
Okay. I think it's really cool. I try not to wiggle too much, so the videos that I'm like
She's like dancing all the time.
because they're probably not going to be able to hear the music. Thank you.